Did you know that in our time today, many people no longer attend religious gatherings and more are openly identify themselves as atheists, people who no longer believe in God. And yet, despite of this claim, we can still say that every person is religious in some way. Now, how is that possible? Hi, this is Vince Trivia and welcome to our channel in this third episode entitled The Religious Atheist. So last video, we showed the relationship of government with religion and we said that they are together because they have the same goal of protecting the people. And we stopped by the question, when the concept of politics came, did the government and religion separate? And the answer is no. Because according to this book, the ancient world, Greece, around 6th century BC, there were many cities there in the area of Greece. And in those cities, Athens is one of the states. It means they are just cities, but they are a country. They have their own form of government and they are independent from other cities like Sparta. And their form of government is democratic. But still, their religion is united with their government. They are together because the concept of politics came in the 6th century BC. That is before Christ. So Christ was still far away. And as we mentioned last time, Socrates was punished for the sin of impiety around 399 BC. So politics or government and religion are together before Christ came. Politics or government is the same. It's about the management of a territory. It is only specified in the area of a city because that word politics comes from the word polis, which means city. When we say government, that is all the sizes of an area or all the number of people that are being governed from tribe, towns, cities, to the empire. All of them were governed by people with titles like kings or Pharaoh or Caesar. Among the Jews in the Bible, they were ruled by a king. But first, they were ruled by a judge that was under the judiciary. The three branches of government we know today already existed in ancient times. There were just a bit of overlapping of functions. There were many titles then: magistrates, praetor, satraps, prince or princess, etc. All of that was government, and all of those titles was under the religious institution. Why? Why was religion more important than government before? Because the governance depended on divination, on the interpretation of the religious council on nature, which was believed to be inhabited by gods, spirits, or powers. The one that we mentioned last video in the Roman religion, we call it numina. All of that was then held by religion because religion that time was mythology. The whole nature or physical science, from forests to lakes and oceans to heavenly bodies, all of those are under religion. Even our physical body, our health, our desire not to get sick, our desire to prolong our life, that was held by religion. In mythology, many gods are associated with medicine. In Greece, we have the Apollo, Asclepius, Hygieia, Panacea, Telesporus. There are also in Egypt, in Babylonia, in other parts of Mesopotamia and in other parts of the world. We also have them here in the Philippines. Now, if we look at the names of those gods we mentioned in mythology books, I have here by Peter Clayton and by David Kravitz. Uh, these are in Levant area or in Mesopotamia, where we are familiar, like in Greece, in Rome, in Babylonia. But here in the Philippines, I don't have any books, but we can check it in Wikipedia. And there we can see there so many gods for healing. And if we analyze, we can see that they have different roles. One God is for one specific case, just like in medical studies today. We know that there are many types of doctors, each with its own specialty. So it was the same in ancient times or in pagan religion. There is a God for convalescence. There is a God for cure of wounds, one for pain reliever, one for giving birth, and there is a God for herbal medicine and for ointments, and there's this for general medicine and one for specific one. And there is also one for specific skills. Now, in associating this today in modern world, those we mentioned could be a surgeon, gynecologist, anesthesiologist, herbologist, and there's also one for preventing plague or epidemic. So that could be an epidemiologist or an immunologist. Now, this concept in pagan religion, having so many gods for different health issues, is not far from the Bible. Now, how is that? Of course, the Bible will not say that there are so many gods who can help us in different illnesses. But what mythology is saying is that our health depends on our religion, on single God if it's biblical God, or on gods and goddesses if it's pagan gods. So our health condition depends on what we believe in. And this is what the Bible is saying. A person's health depends on following his religion or on their relationship with their God. That is why so many verses in the Bible is to be found associated with one's good health. Now, what does this all imply? If we said in the first video that the word religion has no spiritual meaning, and if we say it also in the second video that the government and religion are tied together and that the government depends on religion, and now that one's health depends on their religion, this means that originally religion is not about salvation of the soul, but simply about longevity, to live long. So the context of the Romans' agreement with their gods and the covenant of the Jews in the Old Testament was just to extend their lives. So through that, they could strengthen their community and develop or improve their country. Yes, God is a Savior, and God's salvation is just the removal of dangers and healing of the sick, and through that, God can extend the life of a person, as this verse is saying. This means that in our time now, approaching a doctor is a demonstration of a person's religiosity. Why? Because this is an invocation of a religious truth that human life is short and that there is a God who prolongs life. Going to a doctor is availing of the blessing given by God, longevity. And this is a pursuit, a quest of every community, of every nation, of every man. This is the effect of religion. Like science and technology back then, religion is science and longevity is the application. Remember that this was given by God back in ancient times, a time when the environment was hostile and the world was chaotic, meaning it was not really meant for people to live long. And the environment was hostile, meaning everyone who is not of your race or tribe is the enemy. The people are barbaric. The word is chaotic means there are many disasters and many calamities and many diseases or illnesses that can strike you anytime. So, if you don't have religion or if you do have one but you don't follow the agreement with your God, it means you will die early. But because there is religion, there is a God who saves and heals the sick. It enters our consciousness that a person's life should be long, should be fulfilling. So, we said in our trivia that all people are religious even if they no longer believe in God. As long as they rely on the government for their healthcare or on an insurance to cover their medical needs. We all seek longevity. And in that reality, there is a big question. Why do we need to extend our life? And that is where religion comes in. So, going to a doctor, going to the hospital, or getting insurance is acknowledging the religious truth of the Bible and pagan religion, that our health or life can be extended, and that is dependent on our relationship with Him, with that only God who gives long life. So in the Bible, it is clear that those who were faithful to God in the Old Covenant were given long life. Those who disobeyed died early. But of course, those are not really about the numbers. Those numbers are just symbolism of having a long life. A satisfied life, a life that is meaningful and that is complete. And this is also the reason why Jews have to fight their war efficiently, because that is the principle of their religion, to have a long or fulfilled life. Another point why we say people are religious when they go to the doctor is because it is also an admission that people need a savior, which is the central doctrine of the Bible. Salvation, first, salvation from temporal aspect in the Old Testament, and second, salvation from spiritual life in the New Testament. And that can only be achieved through a relationship with God, like what these verses are saying. Now, last video, we presented that religion and government are together in ancient times because the object of concern is the same, temporal aspect of human life, and the same, and the goal is the same, to save and prolong human life. Now, the big question is why our government and religion are now separated. If they were once together and had a good goal to prolong human life and improve its condition. That will be answered in our next video. Stay tuned and subscribe.